I suspect you may have committed an offence.
Well, I haven't.
Forgive me for not knowing the acting section.
Okay, well, obviously...
Officer opens with vague suspicion and immediately gets demolished. He's Googling drone laws mid-stop, quotes the wrong rule, and Brett hits back with one question. What class of drone? The power dynamic shatters in 90 seconds. When Brett says, "You don't suspect me anymore, do you?" It's a perfect mic drop. This isn't resistance. It's a citizen refusing to comply with incompetence. The officer's own research proves him wrong, and we see authority collapse when challenged by someone who actually knows the law.
Okay, so I'm quoting to you from the Civil Aviation Authority website. It says here, do not fly closer to people than 50 metres. Well, you were certainly within 50 metres of me when I was stood in the middle of the DVSA check site.
Right.
Okay, so I suspect you of then breaching that regulation, so I'm asking for your details.
Right, so which class of drone does that refer to?
What weight is your drone?
Am I required to answer that question? I'm not required to assist you in your investigation. You've now just looked on the CAA website.
Yes.
And found that drones that are below 250 grams,
okay,
you're allowed to fly closer to people than 50 metres and over their heads. So therefore you don't suspect me of committing an offence anymore, do you?
Well, I'm not trying to trick you. You've come to a traffic officer's course. There's a number of officers in there doing some traffic work.
Right.
You're flying a drone over our heads. It's distracting us from our work, and it's potentially a safety issue. So I've come out to discuss that with you.
Right.
And the first thing you want to do is to film me and refuse to give me any details.
The first thing you want to do is accuse me of committing an offence and start making up laws and saying that I have to give you my details when you know I don't.
Officer pivots hard from legal ignorance to emotional manipulation. You're distracting us. Classic deflection. When the law fails, claim safety concerns. But distraction isn't a statute. Watch Brett pin him on weight classification, the single fact that determines everything. The officer's frustration builds because he's used compliance through intimidation, not facts. When Brett asks what specific offense is suspected, the officer admits, "I'm outside my expertise," the confession that destroys his entire authority. Textbook example of badge confidence meeting statutory ignorance.
I asked you your name. You said no.
Yep.
You then asked me quite understandably, do I have to? I've said, I suspect you may have committed an offence. You said, what offence? So I'm now looking at, if you want specific act and section, then I'll do what I can to try and find that for you.
Well, do you want me to help you out with that? I'm not committing an offence.
Okay, because what's your understanding of...
Because you've just read the rules out and I'm within those rules.
The weight of your drone?
Well, I'm telling you that it is within the rules. You saw how small it was. So unless you reasonably suspect that it's heavier than that...
Okay, keep at least 150 metres away from residential, commercial and industrial...
What class of drone's that?
Well, I'm
telling you, it's ones that are above 250 grams. The one I've got, you're allowed to fly wherever you like.
Let me rephrase it, because you sound like you know some of it.
I do.
What's the understanding of the regulations for flying your drone? What do you believe it is?
Well, I'm allowed to fly my drone over there. Unless you've got specific agreements with the Civil Aviation Authority to say that I'm not allowed to fly my drone over there.
The officer admits he's a traffic cop outside his knowledge zone, yet still demands Brett's details. Confidence without competence. The core problem. He acknowledges Brett explained the rules and prove he's legal, but can't let go. The stormtrooper comment lands hard, exposing visual intimidation tactics. Then Brett spots the officer's self-sourced thin blue line badge, a uniform policy violation, revealing personal ideology over neutrality. The officer deflects, but it's too late. This isn't just a bad cop. It's a culture where officers merge personal identity with state authority and expect compliance anyway.
I'll tell you what I'll do, because we have a team of drone operators within the police.
Yep.
I will try and get hold of one of them. I'll say I've got a chap here who's not being very forthcoming with anything at all.
I am. I've explained all the rules to you.
You won't even tell me who you are.
Well, why should I tell you who I am? So I know I'm not committing an offence.
You haven't given me any rules. You've just said I'm allowed to fly my drone.
Yeah.
You haven't quoted any rules.
Well, I have. I've explained to you, when you've read up those rules, I've explained to you that I know I am allowed to fly there because there's no legislation that says that I'm not allowed to fly there.
Okay. I'm happy to admit to you, sir, my specialism is traffic, so I'm operating outside of my area of expertise.
Right.
But
I'm helping you out here, aren't I, by telling you what the rules are?
Well, we'll get our colleagues to know the rules.
Forgive me for saying this, but I can't let people go and just disappear off and not give any details. If I suspect an offence has taken place and you are just refusing me details, then you're telling me that you haven't broken the law, because it may be that you have.
Maybe I have.
It may be that you have.
Yeah,
I suspect you may have committed an offence.
Well, I haven't.
Forgive me for not knowing the action section.
Okay, well, obviously, if you arrested me for failing to give you my details when I know I haven't committed an offence.
Officer's justification shifts from law to personal discomfort. It's distracting, reveals his real motive. He's managing irritation, not enforcing statutes. Brett's stormtrooper analogy perfectly frames the encounter as intimidation, not public service. Then the badge confession drops. It's something I source myself. A direct admission to uniform policy violations that undermine institutional credibility. The thin blue line badge isn't official kit. It's ideological messaging. Rate the audits explains why forces banned this. It signals us versus a mentality compromising public trust. This exposes how individual officers inject bias into supposedly neutral enforcement.
Quite an interesting site, and I want to film it. I know that I'm within the law to do that, and I'm quite entitled to do it.
And
You've come out here threatening me that if I don't give you my details, I could be arrested.
I never said that.
Well, that is the case, though, isn't it? You say you suspected me of...
I've never threatened. The first person to mention arrest was you.
No, you said that you suspect I might have committed an offence, so therefore I have to give you my details. Now, if you suspect I've committed an offence and I won't give you my details, what's your next course of action?
Well, I'm going to get some advice. I've then said,
arrest,
I'll be honest with you, sir. You're speaking to a traffic officer about something to do with drones. It's outside my area of expertise.
You've looked on the CAA website. I've explained the rules to you. I've shown you that it's a 249 gram drone. So now you know I'm not doing anything wrong, perfectly within the rules, so I can take off again and carry on with what I was doing, can't I?
It's distracting me from my work. It's distracting colleagues. They're looking up at what might be buzzing, what's buzzing just above their heads, whilst they're trying to work around 13-ton cranes which may suddenly move or have a defect. So I'm not trying to be awkward. I just want my colleagues to be safe. I want me to be safe.
But I just think it's important that if we're allowed to do something, the public, we should be able to do it, and we shouldn't be able to have like stormtroopers coming out telling us that we're not allowed to do it.
When you think I'm a stormtrooper?
Well, I'm just saying, you know, you guys, the way you're dressed, you know, with all your stab vests and you're kind of like your badges. Sorry,
I have to identify myself as a police officer. Otherwise,
yeah, but what's this? That's not part of the uniform, is it?
It's to explain which team I work on. I'm part of the no excuse team. It's a traffic department within Exeter Road Policing.
Okay.
It is if you want to tweet, check Twitter or Facebook. It is
Is that provided by the force, that badge, or is that something you had to source yourself?
That's something I source myself. I'll be honest with you.
So okay. Well, I'm pretty sure that the uniform policy says that you're not allowed to decorate your uniform with badges that aren't issued by the police.
Institutional rot revealed. The officer admits his badge is self-sourced, triggering expert analysis. Uniforms aren't fashion. They're symbols of impartial state power. When officers add personal insignia like the thin blue line, they broadcast ideology that destroys public trust. Rate the audits explains a policy. Only force-issued insignia are permitted because neutrality is non-negotiable. This isn't one officer's mistake. It's a culture where personal identity merges with professional authority. Brett's questioning exposes the officer knows he's violating policy. The badge issue mirrors the drone stop, enforcing rules he doesn't understand while breaking rules he should know.
I'm well away from the reasons why I came out here to have a chat with you in the first place.
Okay.
You seem to have many questions about the police. I came out here to try and discuss with you about the drone.
Okay.
I'm more than happy to admit that I need some specialist advice about the drone.
Well, I'll give you a hand, right? So as long as it's below 250 grams, you can fly it where you like, as long as it isn't within a restricted zone. So in Exeter, for example, you've got the airport and you're not allowed to fly in that zone, but the drone itself won't allow you to fly in the Exeter zone. Okay. It sort of like starts from the police station, actually, heading towards the airport, and it's quite a large area that you're not allowed to fly in. You're not allowed to snoop through people's bedroom windows and infringe on their privacy.
No, I would hope not.
As long as it's below 250 grams, you're pretty much allowed to fly where you like.
The officer finally calls his drone unit. Seeking expertise, he should have consulted first. But notice the framing. A chap not being forthcoming, painting lawful noncompliance as obstruction. Classic police script. When wrong, blame the citizen. Brett's geofencing explanation is brilliant. DJI drones physically can't fly in restricted zones. The law is self-executing. This makes the officer's confrontation not just wrong, but redundant. When the drone unit confirms no offense, it validates Brett was never in the wrong. The officer's relief is palpable. He's been spared unlawful arrest embarrassment. Proof that consulting experts instead of Google produces actual justice.
Okay, and that phrase there, pretty much allowed to fly where you like. The devils can sometimes be in the details, so that's what
There's things like, you know, where there's official secrets acts, like well, army bases and things like that.
I wouldn't say the work we're doing in there is secret, so I don't think that applies. It's just simply
Or GCHQ, for example.
Okay.
Things like that probably got laws saying you're not allowed to fly drones over them.
I mean, if you want to know what's going on in there, it's no secret.
Well, am I allowed in for a little tour then?
I'm happy to have a chat with you. It's just a bit awkward when this feels like you're doing an official interview with me.
Well, if I'm looking over there, there's not much to see. I've already got a picture of that.
Right, there we go. So the colleague there had a chat with the guys who work for the police and who operate drones.
Yep.
I'm told that there's no offence. But okay, I will say to you though, it is a little bit distracting.
Yeah.
And clearly on a safety point of view, if you could avoid going over people who might be doing work that might require them a level of concentration.
Resolution drops. The drone unit confirms no offense, validating Brett's entire position. But the real payoff is right at the audit's closing. The law didn't change. The officer certainly did. Brett didn't win an argument. He waited for incompetence to exhaust itself. This exposed a systemic flaw. Frontline authority operating without back office understanding. Officers threaten while admitting ignorance, creating unnecessary confrontations. Brett's composure is a lesson. Hold ground until facts prevail. He won because the law was boring, settled, and on his side. That's how you handle overreach. Smash like, subscribe for accountability content, and comment your thoughts. Catch you next time.